My name is Parivat Ganithasen. I'm the Deputy Director of the Payments and FinTech Department of the Bank of Thailand, and we are the organization in charge of doing payments for the country. PromptPay has been in operation since 2016, and it has been a game changer for Thailand's payments since then. This is because of the many use cases of PromptPay. First of all, it's the P2P payments, so money transfer, and then you also have the QR payments. So you use your phone and scan the QR at any merchants in Thailand. And then you have other use cases like e-donations, you donate money to charities, you have cross-bank bill payments, there's a business and trade facilitation. And we also have the largest linkages of cross-border QR payments as well. You have to look at the situation before PromptPay. When I had to make a money transfer to someone even in my own country, I had to pay around $1 equivalent for fees, and then even more for intra-regional transfers. And for payments, we had limited options. Like this is because you either only have cash or cards. And for cash, there's a high cost of cash management. And for cards, its users are limited. And for merchants, only the larger ones can afford card reading machines and pay fees to the card schemes. So this is why we came up with PromptPay to use new technology in real-time payments and address these pain points that have been faced by the users in the country. Well, what we had in mind is to address, as I mentioned, the pain points faced by users, and then we had to come up with a public infrastructure that would address these pain points. And to have an infrastructure that would mainly keep the users at the heart of the infrastructure itself. So when we design these DPI infrastructure of PromptPay, the users were at the heart of our design. And this is why it's the ease of use, multiplicity of use cases that were at the center of PromptPay design. And this is why it has worked in Thailand and in other countries around the world as well. Yes, as I mentioned, PromptPay is trying to address the frictions in payments in the country. And the most successful use cases are actually the P2P money transfers among people, and also the P2M QR payments. This is because it's become a ubiquitous payments means across the country. People can pay at anywhere in Thailand for anything, right? So, and it's also free. We have over 79.5 million registrations. This is something that we are very proud of, because Thailand is a country of around 65 million people, so even more registrations than our citizens. We have over 66 million transactions per day, and most of these transactions are quite low value, like 90% of transactions around $14 in value. So this really means to say that PromptPay is used for day-to-day usage. Like, hey, if you go for lunch, you repay your friend who has brought you lunch, things like that. Or you go to the wet market, you buy food. And it's not just good for the users, but also for merchants as well. And this is one of the things that PromptPay has been trying to address is financial inclusion. As I mentioned earlier, when we started this, we kept financial inclusion as a goal. And by this, I mean, prior to PromptPay, when people had to go to wet markets, or when they had to pay for taxis or public transportation, it's either it's just cash only, right? And only for the large merchants, they do accept credit cards. So this is why with PromptPay, gone to the grassroots and let people know that hey, they are able to accept PromptPay payments just by printing out these QR codes and them at the store where they have the shop, right? So they don't have to have an expensive card reading machine, and they don't have to pay for the fees for the using the cards, which can amount to 2.5 to around 3.5%. If you go to, say, use public transportation in Thailand, you just take out your phone and just scan the QR code there at the kiosk where they sell tickets. So this has made the lives and the livelihoods of Thai people really, really better. And it's now a fact of life within Thailand that, hey, people are using PromptPay. PromptPay has actually quite a number of use cases, and let me go to each of the key use cases. These are actually some of the use cases that we have. The most predominant one would be the fund transfers to another account, right? So this is the transferring money to a friend, to a colleague, or to someone else. So basic P2P fund transfers. There's another use case would be e-donations, where you go to charities or temples and you want to donate, and instead of using cash, you use PromptPay instead. And for Thai citizens who have to pay taxes, this is an automatic. This goes to your tax accounting and then put in there, and you don't have to worry about doing your taxes and worrying about the bills from the donations that you had to do prior to PromptPay. There's also cross-bank bill payment, where you have one bill of one bank and you can pay it through your own bank. So this is something that's done through PromptPay as well. Cross-border QR payment and remittances. This is something that we have launched after the launch of PromptPay, where you can go to other countries and pay as if you are in your own country. And similar for tourists visiting our country, they can use their own mobile phones and pay at Thai QR payment as well. For Pay Alert, this is just an alert for reminding of you when to pay for something that you need to pay. And of course, the main P2M would be the Thai QR payment. This is a very broadly used QR payment in the country, where over 9 million merchants are having these QR payment, where users can pay by just scanning the QR code at the merchant. And My Prompt QR is another version of Thai QR payment, where the merchant is the one displaying the QR code. And then we have PromptBiz, which is an offshoot of PromptPay, where we combine invoicing, taxation, bill payment into one single transaction under the PromptPay rails. Yes, PromptPay has actually transformed the way we pay, as I mentioned. And if you look at the numbers, the traditional forms of payments, say using checks, they have been going down recently. Last year to this year, check usage has been going down by 11%, whereas withdrawals from ATM machines have been down by 13%. And if you look at the trend of cash versus digital, when we started PromptPay back in 2016-17, around 96% of usage was in cash, and only 4% were in digital. And now it has transformed to around 1/3 digital and 2/3 cash. So we have come a long way since the start, but of course there's a long way to go too. So some room for improvement, and to entice people to use digital payments in their daily lives. As PromptPay has been trying to address pain points faced by domestic users, we have tried to link up with other fast payment systems in the region to address pain points of cross-border payment users and merchants as well. And we started back in 2021 with the first linkage of two fast payment systems. That's PromptPay in Thailand and PayNow in Singapore, where you have the first P2P remittance linkage in the world. And this has been going quite well. There are over 1.8 million transactions with around 336 million worth of transactions for PromptPay PayNow. And besides the P2P, we also have the P2M cross-border QR payments. So this is where I, as a tourist, can go to, say, Malaysia, Cambodia, Vietnam, or Japan, or other 8 countries and jurisdictions, and just to pay with my mobile phone there as well. This has been popular among tourists in the country and going abroad as well. There are over 1.7 million transactions worth around $42 million of QR payments that we have. And we continue to expand these cross-border payment linkages through a multilateral network that we are trying to build in the future called Nexus. Yes, our role in developing the DPI system is actually one of a catalyst. So we are the one bringing up the idea because we believe in trying to address the needs of the people that we have. This has been done by talking to the stakeholders that are involved, and by stakeholders I mean banks, banking associations, non-bank payment providers, payment operators. These are the ones that do the do payments in their own work as already. But for us to talk to them and convince them that hey, they should be embarking on a project that would be bringing benefits not only to the users themselves, but to their own companies as well, because they are a firm, right? So this is trying to balance the public needs and the private interests. And this is why the creating a DPI such as PromptPay has worked in Thailand. Yes, the challenges would be actually convincing the private sector to join and to cooperate, right? Because if you are a bank or a payment provider, your inclination is to have something that is operating on a closed-loop basis, right? And not really interoperable with other players who are actually your competitors, right? So these are the challenges that we had in trying to convince the players who are in our ecosystem that, hey, to cooperate and to take part in this project would bring them benefit as well. And benefits, not just financial benefits, but also they do get things like data, which they can use for other things, right? Like payments data is a treasure trove of data, which these institutions can use for lending, for other information that is valuable for them. Well, the PromptPay journey actually started way back in 2016, where that's the year before PromptPay, where everything was done traditionally. Payments was either expensive or especially cross-border payments is slow and not transparent as well. You don't know how much fees you have to be paying in addition to the fee, to the money that you need to transfer. And it's also not. It was also not inclusive, right? So many people got left out. People who don't have cards, or merchants who do not accept cards. So these are the pain points that we have been try to address with PromptPay. And during that time, other countries in the world tried a solution of having establishing a real-time fast payment system, and we thought that we should do it in Thailand as well to address these very pain points that we had, and so we talked to the operator, we talked to the um, tech experts whether it was possible to bring the tech solution to Thailand or not, and then it was okay, and there was an operator that was ready to host this system. And of course, our next step would be to talk to the government and to the private sector as well. For the government, we needed their help in promoting this, and they did a very fine job in having PromptPay as one of the key drivers of the digital roadmap of the country. And with the private sector, it was more in convincing them that they would be benefiting when they would join PromptPay. And in the first phase, we thought that our goal was to have a low fee approach, and we came up with a fee with a staggering system, right? So up to one certain amount, you pay like 5 baht, and higher amounts, you pay 10 baht and 20 baht for each transaction, which was much lower than the fees that were levied before PromptPay. But then banks were thinking that it was the banks who thought that if we had this system of levying fees from the users, people would really try to make the best of the system by going on a lower fee tier, and then make transactions at the lower fee tiers repeatedly. And so this is why they thought that, hey, it's not quite useful to have a fee after all. And one bank started to have a zero fee policy for PromptPay, and then what happened was customers flooded into that bank and wanted to become customers of that bank, and then all the other banks followed suit, and now PromptPay is actually free without us, the regulators, having to do with this at all. So now it has been a very ubiquitous payment means in Thailand because of its wide acceptance points and free for use. And so yeah, this is why we think that PromptPay has come to a level where we thought that once we are successful domestically, we should establish this with other countries in the region where they have fast payment systems as well. So this is why we developed these cross-border payment linkages to allow for these benefits to be accrued cross-border as well. They need two things. One is the smartphone, and two is a bank account or an account, e-wallet with a non-bank payment provider. So it doesn't have to be a bank account itself. So this is actually a good thing for financial inclusion too, because there are some people who only have e-wallets and don't have bank accounts. the benefits of this digital infrastructure is that everything is interoperable. So you you have a bank that is able to pay and receive money from another institution, and this is the key part of PromptPay of this digital public infrastructure, where it allows for connectivity among players who normally do not really want to be connected to their players, right? And this is the beauty of it, is that it's agnostic for the users and for merchants. So I don't really have to care where my merchant is banking at, or same, or the merchant, the vendor doesn't really have to care where my bank is, right? Because PromptPay is interoperable. Yes, the impact is not only on the peer-to-peer, person-to-person money transfer, but or person-to-business or to merchants payments. But the government has also benefited from this as well. I take an example during COVID, for instance. When there were handouts from the government to those affected by the pandemic, it was done through our PromptPay system. Or whenever I do my tax returns, prior to PromptPay, it was like waiting about 2 weeks to get a physical check from the government, and hoping that the check doesn't get lost in the mailing system. But now I can do my tax returns online and get my refund, my returns almost immediately through PromptPay as well. Okay, I think I have three messages. One is that any infrastructure that is a public infrastructure needs to be user-centric, right? So you have to have the user in mind in the design of the whole infrastructure itself. Say for PromptPay, this design is manifested in using proxies for payments, right? So if I were to send money to a friend, I would not need his name, address, but just only his or bank account number and bank number, which were the information that I needed to provide prior to PromptPay. But now it's just only his or her phone number or national ID for that matter. That works too for Thailand. And yeah, so this is something that you always have to keep in mind. And also the pricing, you have to compare things with the status quo. If the status quo payment charges a higher price, then for any public service delivery, you need to have a better price or offer better services, more convenient services, more transparent services. You list out all the fees or for cross-border payments, any foreign exchange charges or markups that you have before you press the confirm button. These are the things that make PromptPay user-centric, and this is the first message that I would like to give. Second is that, as I mentioned, the system has to be interoperable. So you have to be able to link up with any participating provider in your ecosystem. And this is something that may be a bit difficult to implement in the first phase, but once there is more and more banks and financial institutions and payment providers in the system, the other banks, they would look at this as something that they should not miss out in. So they would join the system. The third message I would like to give is financial inclusion. So our system is not just for the selected few, but our target is actually to address those who are not part of the system proper or who have been left out by the previous traditional means of payments. And these people have to rely only perhaps only on cash, which does not really help them. But to have a new and alternative payments means for them to use would really promote the idea of financial inclusion, not just to users but for merchants. We have done this using these three ideas: user-centricness, interoperability, financial inclusion. Is not to force people to use it, right? But to have an alternative system that would really convince people to use them. This is what has made PromptPay really popular, because we are not forcing anyone to use our own system. They are still able to use any traditional means available in the market, but it's because they are convinced that PromptPay is better, it's cheaper, it's even free now, it's more convenient, it's more transparent. This is why they have switched from the traditional means of payments to using PromptPay.